Item 3, consent calendar. All items listed on the consent calendar are considered to be routine matters, status reports, or documents covering previous city council action. The items listed on the consent calendar may be enacted in one motion. With the concurrence of the city council, a council member or any person in attendance may request that an item be removed for further consideration. Are there any items to be removed?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
if I could, I would ask that item 3F1 be pulled for a staff report.
F1. That's A, B, C, and D, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I move approval with that one exception.
I'll second.
Okay, please vote. Okay, Mr. Skipworth has asked for a staff report. Jonathan? Mr. Daly?
Certainly. Good evening. DWP, the Department of Water and Power processes approximately 41,000 customer payments per month for utility bills. Payments may be made in a variety of ways, including in person at the DWP public counter at City Hall, by Dropbox at City Hall, by mail, via check, via automatic bill pay programs over the phone, and via website. Customers may pay traditional methods such as cash or check, or may opt to pay electronically via e-check, debit card, or credit card payments. 40% of the payments are made electronically in 40% of the payments were made electronically in fiscal year 2013-14. DWP processes about 16,600 electronic payments per month. In comparison, Elsinore Valley Municipal Water District receives about 27,700 payments electronically per month for their 42,000 accounts, which is approximately 60% of their payments, the payments they process. Electronic payments are currently processed by two vendors for Department of Water and Power, Paymentus and TransFirst Health and Government Services. Paymentus is a preferred partner for the DWP utility billing software known as CIS Advance. This payment process allows for real-time posting of transactions to a customer's account. So as soon as the payment is made, it shows is a pending payment transaction in our CIS Advance system. Paymentus processes all DWP electronic payments except those through City of Corona's stores. It's a website called City Stores, which are currently processed through TransFirst. In April 2013, DWP launched a new website called iLink. This website allows customers to directly access their account information such as transactions and reading history, request to move in, move out, and look at their tiered rate structures, where they're at in their budget, water budget. They could also send a message to their to our customer service group, and sign up for automatic bill pay, make electronic payments. It's a very versatile site. The site has been up since April 2013, with the plan to have all the customers migrate from the current city stores to iLink. The transition from city stores to iLink has taken longer than originally anticipated, resulting in both websites processing payments, both TransFirst and Paymentus were doing the payments for fiscal 13-14. The current purchase order for Paymentus is in the amount of $175,000. $146,413 has been charged against this purchase order for transactions through March 31st, 2014. The current purchase order was based on past monthly volumes of 13,000 transactions, split between both Paymentus and TransFirst. However, since the transition has taken longer and both websites have been up longer than anticipated, the popularity and volume of electronic payments has increased by about almost 4,000 transactions a month. So we are currently up to about 16,600 transactions per month for electronic transactions. Currently, Paymentus has processed 70,581 transactions for fiscal year 13-14, and an average of 7,800 per month. This figure will double to over 16,600 payments per month for the remaining 2 months of fiscal year of this fiscal year, once the Corona Stores website is closed in mid-May 2014, and Transverse is no longer processing our electronic payments. At an average cost of $2.10 per transaction and an estimated quantity based on current trends, this amounts to $87,150. Additionally, the City of Corona will soon be processing additional payments through Paymentus payment engines through a new automated phone payment system. It's an interactive voice system that allows you to make your payments over the phone. This system is expected to launch by the end of May 2014. Staff recommends increasing the purchase order to Paymentus in the amount of $100,000 for a total purchase order amount of $275,000 for the increased amount of transactions that will be processed for the remainder of fiscal year 2013-14, and allow DWP to issue subsequent annual purchase orders in the amount of $375,000 for 2 additional fiscal years through the end of the current contract with Paymentus. The city plans to go out for a request for proposal prior to the end of the contract with Paymentus to seek other proposals for that service. This concludes my report unless there are any further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Daly. I actually do have a couple of quick questions for you. Last month, you provided a staff report on another item for, I may overgeneralize it, but for similar requirements to be able to allocate funding that was in excess of the city manager's spending authority when the contract was originally secured. It was a pretty long and detailed conversation, and frankly, I ended up going back and watching the video of the meeting because I felt that part of my point that I was trying to make at the time may have been lost, and I just wanted to come back to that briefly. My concern was that if I understand correctly, at last month's meeting, you shared with us that approximately 1 in 5 transactions are now being paid by credit card.
It's actually much higher than, you asked me for an estimate, I didn't have the estimate at the time. The estimate is actually higher.
So tonight you mentioned electronic payments are in the area of about 40%.
Correct.
Okay, so.
And I indicated at that last meeting it was a guess.
Fair enough. But I don't think you're in a position to distinguish how many are debit versus credit card charges at this point, correct?
I can tell you that.
Cannot.
I can.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Please.
So payments coming in currently on average that come to the counter walk in at about 3,350. Electronic payments made by check are 5,800. Electronic payments made by credit card are 12,800. Payments made by mail or dropped into the drop box out front, 11,950. And payments made directly from customers' bank accounts where they sign up through their bank is about 8,550. Those were all averages based on monthly averages for the last 12 months.
Very good, thank you. So in terms of a percentile, can you give me an approximate percentage of how many of those transactions are being accomplished by use of a credit card?
Use of a credit card looks roughly 25%.
Okay, that's fine, thank you. So looking at 1 in 4 transactions being accomplished by a credit card, and understanding that any transaction by use of a credit card is by the subscriber or the customer's choice, I understand that. But I expressed a concern with you last month about the rates that we're charging people. And I had made an inquiry of you at that particular time. Is there an opportunity at this point for you to discuss that with the city manager? You said there would be. Have you had an opportunity to do that as yet?
No, we have not.
Okay. The reason I ask is my concern in going back and watching the last meeting is my concern is that a few years ago when we employed the tiered rate system, we made a commitment amongst ourselves that we would periodically go back and look at that tiered rate system to make sure that it was the most appropriate thing for not only us to maintain our water service and be able to continue to supply water, but at the same time do it with a degree of sensitivity to our customers out there in the city of Corona as well. And so what I'm asking is specifically, is our tiered rate system one that needs to be reviewed? Do we have tiers now that people are being subjected to that are simply costing them too much, that we need to go back and look at a way to maybe bring those back down? The mayor made a very important comment last month about we have, first and foremost, a primary responsibility to recover our costs, and I completely agree with that. But beyond that, the tiered rate system, there comes a point in time where we're actually past recovering costs, but are our tiered rates, is this a good time for us to review? And I see the city attorney is prepared to make a comment.
Councilmember Skipworth, this item is just about the Paymentus program.
I understand
So
that.
the tiered rates would be outside the scope of this discussion and not on the agenda.
And I appreciate that, and I'm only asking if we could follow up on Mr. Daly's suggestion and offer to converse with the city manager about the rate system in another setting.
And you can certainly provide that direction to staff, but there cannot
Okay.
be a discussion about that on that.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate the clarification. And the reason that I asked that is, A, to clarify my point from last month, but number two is that we're here yet again, and I made this comment last month, that we're addressing a spending authority limit that we seem to have failed to accurately identify an approximate need for. And so we're exceeding that, and in your description, unless I misunderstood your staff report, we're going from the initial contractual agreement of $175,000. We're increasing it not only $100,000 to complete this year, but an additional $100,000 up to $375,000 for this contractual agreement after this year. Did I understand that correctly, or did I?
That's absolutely correct. It's due to changing patterns of how people pay their bills, not just our bills, but all bills are paid more electronically. So it's based on us providing them the means and mechanisms. We anticipate growth in the system. When we first turned this website on, we experienced an unbelievable pouring out of, I think it went on April 2013. By July, an additional 5,000 people had signed up for electronic payment and dropped out of other types of payment systems. It's the customer's desire to do that. We're not
I understand.
out changing we're not changing their minds or anything. They're
Right.
desiring these services.
No, and that part of it, I completely champion along with you. When our customers are telling us they have a preference and they're acting that preference out, we need to be able to respond to that. I completely agree with you. My concern is that we are having to adjust not only $100,000 more to respond to our initial projection, we're in fact exceeding a doubling of our financial commitment to meet this service. And so I'm just kind of trying to get my head around the fact that we're going from $175,000 to $375,000 to meet this service need, which brings me back to the other point you made tonight, that each transaction electronically costs us as a subscriber to provide the service somewhere just over $2 a transaction. Did I hear that correctly?
Again, that's an average, but yes.
Okay.
Correct.
And then for the telephone service that you talked about bringing online, what will that cost per transaction?
It depends upon which mechanism they use. If it's an electronic, if it's through a check, or if it's through a credit card, it's $2. If all credit cards will be the same fee,
Okay.
$2.10.
Okay, so at least at this point, in terms of concept of providing these automated services, whether somebody does this online electronically, an electronic transaction, or by the use of phone with the automation built into the phone, the per transaction charge to us is going to be somewhere around $2 per transaction.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. I'll stop there and allow my colleagues to ask any questions if they have any. Thank you, sir.